I got to meet Samardo. I was
Wow.
like, you read about him
Yeah.
and, your social psychology, your
Right.
Psych 101,
Right.
psychology classes, of Samardo and the
Sure.
prison experiment.
Yep. Oh my goodness.
It led me to feel empowered,
Yeah.
confident, to know clinically, intuitively, to connect to that intuition,
Yeah.
to notice, my clinical judgment, documentation. As I've shared on my journey, I feel like there have been pieces of a puzzle that have led me to where I'm at now.
Absolutely.
Every single part of it is part of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
With the grief work that I do,
Yeah.
with the resources that I share, with the communities that I connect, with the, intuition that I have, like every single part of it. And my grandpa has walked alongside with me in every single part of that.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me again. I am Dr. Carmen Majid. We are here to reach out to you via another segment of Conversations with Carmen. This morning, I am incredibly delighted to be joined by my fellow colleague and fellow private practice owner, Adriana Avila, licensed marriage and family therapist. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course.
Super excited.
I am super excited. I am delighted to be here. You have no idea.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this because we've known each other for a minute now.
We have.
And it's just nice to reconnect with you and spend some time getting to know you and highlighting how fabulous you are.
Oh, thank you, Carmen.
All right, my dear.
Yeah.
Let's dive right in. So you were born and raised in California,
yes,
but you spent about a year or so in Mexico.
Yes.
So what can you share with us about that journey? And then I'm also curious about where did your fondest childhood memories take place?
Yes. So yes, I was born and raised in California and here in locally.
Yeah.
And, before 4th grade, we did travel back and forth from Mexico back here, Mexico back here. And then it was around 4th grade that I spent a whole year in Mexico. My parents moved over here.
Yeah.
They had some stuff going on, so they moved over here. I stayed in Mexico with my grandpa.
Right.
And that's where my my grandpa's super dear to my heart, but that's where my connection with my grandpa was just developed even deeper because I spent a lot of time over there. So fondest memories, Mexico.
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Project Sister.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, loved it. I loved, again, community, connection. I love providing resources. So Project Sister helps survivors of sexual abuse of any age. So my role there was being an advocate.
Okay.
And that role is you're on call 24/7.
Yeah.
You decide what shifts you want to work. I usually worked, again, I love to immerse myself. And I was doing like the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shifts.
Wow.
On the weekend, I was taking on more hours than I needed to just because I loved being of support and help and providing resources. So alongside being an advocate, you work with forensic nurses and you work with law enforcement. So with that as well, too, because I immersed myself a lot in just everything that Project Sister did, part of it was reaching out to all law enforcement. They work with San Bernardino and LA County.
Right.
And I reached out to all the watch commanders from every city that we worked with and went to all their police briefings, whatever police briefing they, whether it was a PM or AM one, to share about what Project Sister, because we work with them alongside with them. So to provide more support and who we are and, when they call us, what the protocol is, et cetera. So if somebody has experienced an assault at that, let's say that night, they call us and then we go out to the hospital, et cetera.
Wow.
So it was very involved. I was very involved.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It sounds very intense, but it sounds Well, it's more that it's beyond a needed service. I
Mhm.
mean, and I'm wondering for you because you are so community minded. I imagine that that collaborative team effort that you were constantly given the opportunity to sort of step into, I
Mhm.
imagine that was really enjoyable and
Mhm.
maybe even just satisfactory.
It was.
It brought a sense of satisfaction.
It
to you.
did.
Yeah,
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 it
that's
did.
lovely.
Hmm. And it
Okay.
led me to crisis intervention work as well too, because I was on
Yeah.
call
Okay.
crisis. It was not only like sometimes people would call into the hotline to ask for referrals or services or had questions about
Yeah.
something, but it was a lot of involvement because I was constantly going out to
Mm.
the hospitals. They
Yeah.
serve 4 hospitals within LA and San Bernardino County.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What a nice way to give back,
Mhm.
Okay. Excellent. And then going back to your experience with research for just a minute, I think you shared with me that you presented a paper
Yes.
at WPA, which is Western Psychological Association.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. What can you tell us
Oh,
about
I
that?
love that too.
Mm.
It was,
Awesome.
I didn't, that wasn't even on my radar
Right.
either. I
Mm.
thought, do some research, you get into school,
Yeah.
just immerse yourself in research. So I go here with Dr. Subra at Cal State LA, and she immersed me into her research project.
Yeah.
It was a dual language research project
Okay.
that they were, if I remember all of it,
Yeah.
it's so long, testing Spanish speakers. So I would go to
Okay.
preschools,
Okay. Oh.
and then we would record, we would do play and record, and then we would transcribe those recordings and see the findings. So with that too, I was very immersed. I was going to a lot of local schools
Yeah.
with kids that we had approval with through the IRB and everything.
Right.
So so did that, transcribed that. We analyzed the data, and she's like, let's do a paper. At that time, it happened to be that WPA was here in LA.
Wow.
So it worked out perfectly.
Wow. Nice timing.
Nice timing. So WPA was at LA. So we gathered the poster, and as I was telling you about it, I looked through my emails and I found the poster, and I was like, oh my gosh, this poster with my name on it and all the data. And it just took
nostalgic.
me back to that moment. And I was like, look, I did that.
You did it.
That's
I
so
did this.
cool.
Yeah.
And presented the poster
Yeah.
at WPA, and I got to meet Zimbardo. I was
Wow.
like, you read about him and your social psychology, your Psych 101, psychology classes, of Zimbardo and the prison experiment.
Yep. Oh my goodness. Wow.
And I'm like,
that's amazing.
Zimbardo is like right there,
like feet away from me. Oh my goodness.
And I was like, I had my, I forget the book's name. He wrote I'm drawing a blank right now, but I had him sign the book.
Oh my goodness.
It was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was fun.
That's amazing. All right. So then you found yourself at Laverne, master's program in psychology, clinical psychology.
Yeah, it's a master's program in marriage and family
therapy. Got it. And internships. So I know that you had a lot of experience, working community mental health.
Yes.
And I know that you worked in programs such as Wraparound, which I have an affinity for Wraparound. I very much involved in that back in the day. Yeah. IFCCS, as well as FSP.
Yes.
So for those of us for those viewers who aren't, necessarily familiar with those programs, what can you share?
Yes.
About those programs.
So again, loved it. Went from, Laverne, did my internship at Foothill Family. Loved my internship there. And I was placed at the site that Wraparound was placed at that time. Okay. And I would see the Wraparound team come and go. And I was like, I want to do Wrap one day. And after I finished school, I went to work for Pacific Clinics. Okay. Then after that, I was working on a case that I had a wraparound team in. Yep. And that wraparound team's like, Adriana, can you come back to Foothill? Yep. So there I go. I go to Foothill, and I did wraparound facilitator. So wraparound, IFCCS, and FSP are intensive programs. So all over the radar as well too. Crisis intervention. Sure. I would be called out at 3 a.m., go back, work 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. because I had a meeting. So again, loved it. Crisis intervention, community, resources. Yep. But I felt that I needed to, there was a point where I'm like, okay, I love community mental health. I
Mhm.
love this intensive work, being on call. But there's a time now, Adriana, you've been on the, and I've been doing crisis intervention since Project Sister,
Right.
and on the go,
Yeah.
that I needed a shift.
Yep.
To some kind of shift.
Yep.
Then Soul Tenders
Oh my
appears.
goodness.
What?
Yes, absolutely.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you believe that all of that, again, those community-based intensive programs, whether it be wraparound or FSP, all of them have, I would say certain common denominators, such as the idea of, literally wrapping yourselves around a family, kind of adopting this do what it takes mindset, do what it takes approach, responding to crises, collaborating, partnering, teaming, all of that.
Yes.
So would you say that intense experience prepared you for private practice?
Oh, for sure.
How?
So many ways. It led me to feel empowered, confident, to know clinically, intuitively, to connect to that intuition, to notice, my clinical judgment, documentation, resources, connecting to people to resources, helping people feel empowered and advocate for themselves. Just in so many ways, it prepared me for private practice.
Right, absolutely. Did you have any... So I think you shared that your Soul Tenders journey began sometime during 2017. If I have my years correct.
Yes.
Did you have any initial reservations?
Yes.
Any reticence, like, I'm not sure. Okay, what was that like for you? What was that about?
Love that you say that, Carmen, because it reminds me of even college not being on my radar.
Yeah.
Master's not being on my radar.
Right.
Private practice not being on my radar.
Right.
They're all risks to take.
Yeah.
Private practice is a major risk to take because, as I shared with you, business, safety, security.
That's right. Paycheck, 401k,
exactly.
all of that, benefits.
Benefits, you're set. Coming from parents that immigrated here, that's what, I don't want to generalize, but that's what I was taught, right? Coming from immigrant parents, you're taught, you get a job, safety, security, 401k, benefits. Yeah. So you have safety and security.
Absolutely.
So going into private practice was completely out of I in a sense I broke traditional role and rule, but I felt it in my gut, and I had conversations with my dad, and in a sense of this is what I'm doing, just trusting the process. And it's been one of the greatest risks that I've ever taken, and being able to, as a Latina, own my own practice and feel empowered in it.
Absolutely.
When you're taught you only have to do this, I broke out of that.
Absolutely.
And I chased this dream that allowed me to flourish as a therapist in so many ways. And, as I've shared all my journey, I feel like there have been pieces of a puzzle that have led me to where I'm at now.
Absolutely.
Every single part of it is part of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
With the grief work that I do. Yeah. With the resources that I share. With the communities that I connect. With the, intuition that I have. Every single part of it. And my grandpa has walked alongside with me in every single part of that.
Absolutely.
Up to where I'm at right now. So I know, and it gets me it just hits my heart because I know he would be so proud.
Oh my goodness. Yes, of course.
And I know he's watching from heaven.
Of course. Absolutely.
Knowing that I've come up to, and that I even stepped out of my comfort zone to be my own private practice owner.
Sure. For sure. Okay. So your Soul Tenders journey started with you doing some marketing and some community outreach and facilitating information fairs and all of that wonderful. Walk us through what your journey has been. You've also been a fantabulous provider support specialist. I know that I benefited from that.
Thank you,
so walk us through your journey.
Yeah, I love that journey too. Immerse myself right into it. I feel like, as I've shared, I'm just realizing how when I'm in that pod, whether it's, Cal Poly, Laverne,
Mhm.
research, and now Soul Tenders, community mental health. I immersed myself in it.
Yeah.
As soon as I came to Soul Tenders, I'm like, all right, Virginia, what do I do?
Yes. Come on.
What do I do? So I started doing a lot of marketing, outreach, some health fairs at Whittier schools. I did the newsletter. So I started writing the newsletter as well too. So immersing myself in any way, in any shape possible.
Yeah.
And then, yes, I had the privilege to be a provider support specialist, which I absolutely loved. Because seeing, through my own journey of what it is to come into private practice from whether it's, your background, your traditions, your community mental health, fears, etc., right, to help shift and in a way to shift from whatever you're experiencing to private practice.
Absolutely.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved helping, clinicians settle into their practice and own being a private practice, being a business owner.
Absolutely.
Right? You're a clinician and a business owner, and to feel empowered in that. So I love that about being a provider support specialist.
Right.
And, through all of that, I continued to grow as a clinician, especially in the grief world. And then that's where, again, my intuition kicked in of I need to, I'm getting a lot of requests and a lot of things around the grief world. So there's something that I need to let go of, which there's grief in that too. I felt that was part where even handing my keys in to Virginia, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
But I knew there was another chapter starting for me as a sole business owner and as a sole clinician in this world, which I love to help and be of support and provide a space for people that are grieving and go out into the community and share about grief or mental health.
Absolutely.
So here I am.
Man, that's amazing. And language is so important because I heard you say a few times, private practice owner, business owner.
Yes.
And we at Soul Tenders, those of us who are affiliated, who are, part of this wonderful network, we are beyond independent contractors.
Yes.
And when I returned to Soul Tenders 4 years ago, I had to be gently reminded, no, you're beyond an independent. This is your practice. You got to own it.
Yes.
And it really is a mindset. When you own it, when you step into it, you become the epitome of it.
Exactly.
It's transformational. It's just, it just changes you.
It does.
So, and you're able to, I think, expand, do more because you see yourself differently. You're looking at yourself and what you're doing for people through a different lens and a more empowering lens, So I just wanted to just circle back to that for a second. I remember when you transitioned out of the provider support specialist, like, wait a minute, So yes, but you said you had to make space because I think an even bigger calling was sitting right there on your radar.
Yes.
And you looked at it.
I did.
You identified it. You acknowledged that it was a thing.
I did.
And you shared with me that, there's some things that have gone down in your life in terms of you personally resonating with grief and loss and navigating that process. So I know that when we chatted a few days ago, you said that something to the effect of the grief specialty chose me.
Yes.
That was a very, very powerful statement. And, being in the grief realm, helping people in this capacity, this is where I belong.
Yes.
That was another quote. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I feel like it's not like one day I woke up and said, I'm going to specialize in grief or, it's just something that I feel like along the building blocks because my grandpa has walked alongside with me and other losses that I've had in 2020. My grandma passed away and then right after two of my doggies passed away, my aunt, my friend, he was a Marine, died in Iraq. So there's just a lot of grief that has, been in my world that I feel like I didn't choose, in a sense, the specialty, right? The specialty chose me.
Absolutely.
And I listened to it and I was guided to it. Said, yes, I have all these personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
and then how do I translate it to the professional experience
Yeah.
so I can be there for other people and provide them guidance, support, etc. So then I immersed myself in the grief educator program with David Kessler.
Yes.
Then I did, I connected to that, and I felt intuitively there's more than just our thoughts and our process in grief. There's the connection to the body, and then that's where grief yoga came about.
Yes.
And then I took the teachings with Paul Denniston, which is the founder of grief yoga.
Right.
So that's how I felt that, again, the grief world chose me. I didn't choose it.
Yeah.
But I am here and, providing all kinds of support that I can
Absolutely.
for anybody that's grieving through individual, through groups, pet loss groups, human loss groups.
For sure.
Yeah. And I hope to continue to expand that as well, too.
That's amazing. I'm sure you will.
I feel like part of it was, turning pain into purpose, right? That it's not that I accept and that I'm okay with the deaths that have occurred.
Right.
And they can coexist with that happened and I can do something about it.
That's
so
right.
Purpose into the work that I do.
Absolutely.
So everything that I do is in honor of someone that has passed away.
And we didn't use this word in our conversation, but or the concept of embracing change, embracing that life really is about change. It's about personal evolution. And if you can wrap your head around that, and again, combine that with trusting either the cues or the serendipitous moments or people crossing paths with you, if you can trust that that's part of your journey, then I think that, propels a person to the next level where they're supposed to be. But life literally is about change. Sometimes the change is unwanted.
Yeah, like grief.
Right, absolutely. The losses are not anticipated and they're obviously not, we don't want them, we're not embracing them.
Yeah.
But if you can embrace that life is about change and evolving, I think that in and of itself, just even shifting that mindset the slightest bit, that can be potentially healing as well. It really is so much of our mentality, that comes to the forefront. So wonderful. Well, I'll never forget the day that I circled back to Soul Tenders about a little over 4 years ago. And this was 2019, a few months before COVID hit. And we both were I was settling into this office, this building in Arcadia. And you were just, you were in the throes of your provider support specialist role. And you just were so welcoming and so helpful and just so compassionate, and I'll never forget that. And you're a phenomenal person. So I just wanted to let you know that. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate your time, Carmen, and sharing space with me. All right. So if our viewers have questions for you and would love to reach out, whether it's about grief, EMDR, or anything else that comes to mind, I imagine they can email you.
Yes.
What is the best email address for you?
Yes. So the best email is adriana@soultenders.com.
Okay, wonderful. And as usual, if anyone has questions for me, I can be reached at cmajid.ip@soultenders.com. That's cmajid.ip@soultenders.com. And if anyone has questions about the provider spotlight process or being a guest on Conversations with Carmen, you can reach out to our provider relations department at providerrelations@soultenders.com. Again, I'm Dr. Carmen Majid. Thank you, Adriana Avila, licensed marriage and family therapist, for joining me. I'm so appreciative. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody. See you next time.